If you're a female-founded brand in this category, even though I have a male audience, restricted. If you're a male-founded brand, you get away with everything. If you're selling prescription drugs like ED pills, fine. Devices, mine look like rocks? No. Do I want to take on that fight? Do I want to give more money to Zuckerberg? No.
In this series, we celebrate innovative thinkers and creators who are reshaping their industries and inspiring others through their work. Today, I'm honored to welcome Eva Goicochea, the founder and CEO of Maude. Maude isn't just a wellness brand. It's redefining what intimacy means in the modern world.
I can't believe you said my name so well. Thank you.
Well, I did
Thanks for
ask
having
you
me.
before, what would you say is the easiest way to say your last name?
Oh, I said it was like Geico, but Goicochea.
I take pride.
You did
I think
great.
Eva is actually harder than your last name.
Never forget.
I will not. So we became friends recently. So this is, even though most of these conversations are with people that I do consider to become new friends, I feel like we hit it off from the get-go through a mutual friend, and we ran into each other in the
Floor
hallway.
mates, yeah.
And I stepped out of my comfort zone to say, I think you look like the founder of a startup company that I heard has their office in the building. So maybe just give a little bit of color on what Maude is and what you're doing as a business.
You did so great. Maude is a modern intimate wellness company. Also has platform for content. We've been around since 2018. Pretty gender inclusive, like audience is almost 50-50. Yeah, and we're just disrupting this category, as overused as that word is. I would say we have.
And when you say you're disrupting a category, is that more of a mission that you're going out to try to do? Or can you actually gauge it along the way to say we have disrupted it?
We've gone into retailers that have never carried the category before and been in places that have never featured it before. So like right now we're in the Design Museum at the Louvre. They've never had sex toys.
Right. But what was even the logic why that type of offering would be applicable in a store like that?
So
Like, what's the pitch to them as to why
at the beauty retailer or in the museum?
in the museum? Let's use the museum.
So the museum has the exhibit right now through March is about intimacy, and actually is going to cover, I think, this conversation, which is how it exists in the world beyond just product. So we partnered with them, and they put the product in it, and they put it in the store.
And do you feel like that is more for brand awareness, or are you actually, have you been or expecting to get decent sales from that type of
No,
partnership?
I think it's for brand awareness. It's also obviously if they come, if the Design Museum at the Louvre comes calling, like you don't say no.
Right.
And that's what happened. So it was like, you don't say no. They're also talking about intimacy in this multidimensional, interesting way. This is amazing.
And like, what about the user-generated content from people that are going to the store? You get it. Is there like a ton of social mentions of people snapping what they see in the store online?
Not while they're at the exhibit, but in the events. Like when they've had events, we definitely are featured. But it's this extensive exhibit. Like we're in there with very famous, painters. It's a pretty extensive exhibit.
That's great. And historically, the brand was more direct to consumer,
Yes.
and then you've expanded into retail.
Yes, which is not an easy road. I think ultimately people want to shop for this stuff in the privacy of their own homes, but certainly with this like wellness wave, we've been included. Is it there yet? No, but has it been very flattering? Yes.
Are you able to map the shopper experience if you're in a store like Sephora to see like how somebody's getting to your product?
They will not give you any data.
No. Okay.
Which is interesting because it's like there are many beauty brands. I don't consider us necessarily beauty, but there are beauty brands that are so indexed in retail that they don't have any idea who their consumer is. And I don't want to be in that spot. I really like the fact that we have this relationship with them. We have really high affinity. And the content piece has like kept them in that ecosystem. And it's like, it's great to have that feedback.
And do they put limitations given that, the category is still becoming a little bit more mainstream or fully mainstream at some point, but not there yet probably?
not there yet.
Are there then a lot of they're willing to carry you and anything goes, or they put certain restrictions on the way you're able to
They won't
market or
they won't talk about us at all.
okay,
We have to drive all the awareness.
got it.
Which,
And
yeah.
and is it when you look, I know all Sephora stores are probably size slightly different. So where are your products featured in a store like in a Sephora store?
So we were on the next big thing wall in skincare. So they have like different sections. And then they just recently launched body. And so we're in those body doors. We'll get pulled off the next big thing wall. We'll go into the body doors. But it's almost like being in this nascent category in a nascent category. And who knows, like they may pull the sexual wellness products out of the store entirely. They're not in store, sorry, like offline. But we have body products that they'll probably keep, which has been its own challenge to be multiple things at once and tell multiple stories, even though we believe intimacy is much broader than a condom.
And when you talk, I don't want to get too much into the regulatory environment for your
We're
industry.
so much more funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the regulatory environment.
No, this is not a conversation about the regulatory environment for what you do, but have the rules changed, I assume, to become a little bit easier on your business entering certain consumer?
The rules have changed. Like, okay, at a governmental level, there was a time, and we have another museum happening right now where we actually curated the exhibit about this, like the history of design and decency. There was so many rules restricting selling these products, 50 years ago, beyond. Now you can sell on the internet, you can sell in store, fine. Social platforms like channels, restrictive. Beyond restrictive.
On selling and the way you market and what you could say.
On the way you market and what you can say. And interestingly enough, it's not, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound like they've done studies on this. There's been like complaints filed with the FTC, et cetera. If you're a female founded brand in this category, even though I have a male audience, restricted. If you're a male founded brand, you get away with everything. Mm-hmm. If you're selling prescription drugs like ED pills, fine. Devices, mine look like rocks. No. It's wild. Do I want to take on that fight? Do I want to give more money to Zuckerberg? Right. No.
Right. On your website, are there also restrictions in how you could explain things or describe things? Because just in my own research, I was, just looking around your website, what may seem obvious to you, I didn't know if the way you explain it is done so to be mysterious or to be explicit, or there's reasons why you can or can't do stuff.
So in the past, we've definitely been restricted from selling certain things, and we've had to change the language. We actually won the battle with Stripe, which was great. Story for a different day, boring. But that said, like, our brand, though, is not explicit. Like, we're trying to make this a bit smarter. We're trying to meet the customer who's over 30 and, basically 30 to dead, we say. So we just try to speak in a smart way. We're not trying to be an explicit brand.
And if people ultimately are buying products and through the site is not explicit and they order it, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, order it for one another, for themselves, whatever, singles. What's you mentioned to me like content and your blog is a huge driver. Is the content side of your business to explain the use case of all these things?
Yeah.
Or okay.
And give context. Like, what is the world? Well, what's sort of, how does intimacy live in the world? How does design come into this? How does history, science? It's a little bit of all of that. And I think it gives people something to listen. Porn is the most highly trafficked thing on the internet in general. So sex as a topic is let's acknowledge, while we don't want to, that it is something people want to read about, see, whatever, fine. No judgment. The modern is not that explicit. People are genuinely curious. They're like, is this normal? Why do we feel this way? What happened in history? We have an article that's one of our best read, and it's how do astronauts have sex in space?
That's interesting.
So I think.
And in order to know that, are you making assumptions, or they're actually astronauts who have acknowledged how they pulled that off?
No, I think it's basic. No, nobody's acknowledged that they pulled this off. It's like, what? How would you?
How would you? So you mentioned the word intimacy, and I know you said that when we were talking about the space that you play in.
Yeah.
How do you define intimacy? in the context of your business? Let's start there.
I think it's sort of everything that surrounds the act of sex. Interestingly, I don't think of it as synonymous. And I would say culturally, Americans do think of it that way, but abroad, which we have an audience there, intimacy is like closeness, could be the intimacy of this room. Like it just lives in other ways, and so that's how we think of it. And I think we all understand that smell and sight and sound all play into this, right?
Yeah, you were saying even like the way intimacy shows up in your daily life, and I mean having candles or the lighting that is not
What is this
overhead.
lighting? This lighting is not intimate. This is meant for surgery.
But the walls. What do you think
The
about the
walls are
curtain,
intimate.
the walls in this
Yeah.
building, the curtains,
And even the sound in here, right?
right? So ultimately, you're meant to be in a building like this, and you
People
feel at
walk in
home.
and they're like, you couldn't have found a better home.
And I think the way that I did put two and two together that you were in the building was that I saw an Instagram post by one of your, marketing leads, I believe, and they were carrying, we don't even have to go what they were carrying, but something that was identifiable in the elevator.
Yeah.
And I said, this is pretty craft. This probably was the most creative marketing that I saw in the building. And I'm like, wait, Maude, I happen to know one of your investors, and then I ran into you. So
To be
full circle.
fair, you walk in this building, there is a bed.
Right.
Fits perfectly.
Right. And this week we have Valentine's hearts mixed with puppies, right? It's a whole thing. Is Valentine's week a big, even though
Yeah.
we're shooting this the week of Valentine's Day, or is that a big moment every year for your business?
It's a big moment because we get picked up so much in press.
Okay.
Do I wish that people were like, I want to consider this all year round? Yeah.
And when you started the business to today, do you recall like when you get those either big days of sales or big single sales? I think I had asked you this, but has there been like one sale or one day of sales where you're like, wow, this was like the day of all days?
Okay, this is really weird. So we decided, so we don't even say we don't say we say devices. We say that because we're like, look, if you continue to treat these as novelties, no, there's going to be no gender parity. People are going to be afraid. Statistically, like women do need external stimuli, whatever. There's lots of stats. The point is, we take out this like mini social campaign. This vibe is not a toy. It got picked up by Yahoo News, and it was our biggest sale date ever outside of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like middle America was into it.
Now, when that happens,
Yeah.
does your brain as a CEO go to, this is a moment in time, we may not be able to replicate this, or everyone gets excited to say, how do we do this again and again and again in different ways?
It's interesting that you bring this up because I know a lot of brand founders who are built off of that creative, they continually reinvent something to get that engagement. We don't do that well. We definitely have the creative foundation to do it. But no, that was just like a random moment. And it was we sent out the product to people, like there was participation from our community, but it just was a random moment. I think it was around our birthday.
Yeah.
So.
And you're saying you mean your company's birthday?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know if we shared.
I don't know your birthday. When's your
No,
birthday?
Virgo. I'm a
Oh,
Virgo.
yeah. I think I should have been a Virgo, but I'm a Leo.
And your background is heavily in marketing and creative. I know you run a company, so I don't want to label you as one-dimensional or even two-dimensional. Do you feel
I
like...
identify as a Shih Tzu mom, actually.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm just
That's
kidding.
fine. But do you feel that your background in marketing is you're able to infuse that into your business today as like a leading principle of how the business is run?
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that while I wish I was the marketer that took risks all the time, and there is a never-ending stream of ideas for this brand, I'm actually pretty, I hold back a lot. Like I like look at the longevity, and so that's how we operate. Which as a marketer is funny because it takes a lot of patience, and I think there are times when people are like, let's mix it up. And I'm like, I just want to be.
And are you set up today where you have someone that's like your head of marketing, or you kind of take on that responsibility in a way?
We have a senior marketing lead.
Yeah.
Who's great. But I would say we definitely work side by side.
Okay. And is that hard for you? Like as the business evolves, let's say you keep getting to the next phase and next stage and have 100 or 200 person company.
Oh my God, that would be hell. I hope I
Okay.
never get there.
No, don't say that. But if you had, would that be a tough role to hire for because of your expertise doing that?
It's interesting because it's not that I think that I'm like a marketing or creative genius. It's more that I think a lot about just breaking the relationship we have with customers in terms of their expectation. Like we've seen such consistency with our customers' relationship with us that I'm like a little afraid to go off the rails. But I would be happy to have a team that constantly,
Mhm.
with data, with testing, continues to evolve the brand. Like that would be great. But it just can't be out of left field.
And when you have investors and you have, venture-backed investors, and they obviously have certain metrics as a company and campaigns you run, I'm sure you have to justify a good amount of what you do.
I have been called mini L'Oreal by my reporting standards.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, I mean, ultimately, the investors know I'm their redheaded stepchild in the portfolio. You know some of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we're alone in the category in a lot of ways, by our audience, by where we're sold, by our tone. So I have some liberty in that way, but I try to stay the course and like I want to return this money. It's not my money.
No, no, I'm going differently. That's important to know, but I was going stop cutting me off.
No, I'm
No.
sorry.
No, what I was going for, and that's a good answer to your what was the question that you were asking yourself. My question was about when you run
Yeah,
campaigns as a marketing expert and your, CPG company, D2C, the whole thing, how do you balance between like the metric base that you can really measure and then the softer, branding awareness type stuff? Like, how do you
measure
think
that.
about that? Yeah.
I think about it more because we're seasonal. You see it now, like right now we're in the height of our season. That kind of goes through the regular holidays into Valentine's Day. And then we have this spring that's like really quiet. So it's more about lifting it up then and seeing if doing anything creative or taking more risks in the marketing does anything. But it's just like been so consistent. It's wild.
That's good. And obviously I would imagine you're on most platforms, right? You have a presence on
We do, but we're not allowed to like
they're not
market
the
most for them. It's wild. We
but
can't
I'm
say
saying
anything.
your business is on Instagram,
Our
right? You have a
business is on
business page.
Instagram. We're shadow banned for damn sure.
Okay.
We just did sort of a mini partnership with Stella McCartney, and that definitely like lifted visibility. But you can see it, like
You see the
yeah,
difference.
you see
And
the
then
difference.
you as a founder also have your own personal brand.
Eh.
But it's a real I mean, whatever the following is,
So
you
that following, and people
yeah.
know this. I've said this before, but I ran social media at Everlane in 2011. Like I was just early to Instagram, and it was the time when they were like, "Who do you know in the creative field to stick on the suggested user list?" And that happened to me twice. So overnight, I went from like a few thousand followers, which felt at the time like I'm part of this cool community in
Mhm.
Instagram, to like 80,000 overnight.
And do you get from that audience when you do push things out, do you get a lot of inbound with people coming up with different partnerships or ideas or retail or
We get hit with partnerships all day, every day,
yeah.
which is funny because it's basically like it's the equivalent of like, "You're in food, I'm in food, we should do a partnership." And I'm like, "This doesn't make any sense. I don't know what we should do." But yes, I would say through my personal, it seems like it's the same 1,000 people who watch my story,
Yeah.
which I'm always like, "Thanks, appreciate it."
Yeah. But people talk about it, and I'm
Yeah,
sure, getting back to the retail versus buying stuff online point, your business, just as human instinct would say that people would feel more comfortable making decisions towards your product at their computer,
I
not having
agree.
to walk a
There's an
store.
education, right? Like,
Yeah,
what does this massage candle do? What
right.
does this ingestible do? Yeah, for sure. And I think that's great.
But they see it in the store and they go home, and I'm sure like it's not necessarily easy to prove, but from a connectivity, I'm sure it's happening all the time. We could keep talking about your main business, but I know you have something called Founders Weekend,
Yeah.
which you were nice enough to share with me what that is. What is the genesis of Founders Weekend, being that it's now 5+ years old?
You know, it's like early days. I just introduced you to a friend of mine that I've known since Everlane days. And it's just been a decade of, can I call you? Which that leads into something else we can talk about in a minute. But it's like, can I call you? I need advice. I need business advice. I need co-founder, whatever, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, there's got to be a better way. I can't sit by the phone all day I got to connect people, and I love connecting people. In fact, I like throwing parties that I then exit from. And so that's where it started. But it was like 20 people went upstate, this giant house, so 90s. Everyone was in a different configuration in terms of where they could sleep. It was wild, and everyone was great. Like they talked about everything going on and they cooked together. There was an investor there who kind of helped me organize, and I was like, this is absolutely a no-go in the future. We got to continue to create a space where people can talk about things. And statistically, founders are like pretty messed up, right? Like they have a lot of depression, they have a lot of ADHD, they have all of it. And I'm like, they need people to call. And honestly, we're insufferable to everyone else. We should be talking to each other. That's how it started. COVID happens. It turns into a Slack group. And now there's 250 of us. And there was more, but we actually basically kick people out if they weren't participating.
Yeah. And then you do how many retreats? One per year?
One per year.
And how
It's
many of the
grown a lot.
250 do you expect this year to go?
So this year will be like 30.
Okay.
We did one that was 75, and it was too many people.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then like any trip, or would you say most of the 30 are like they know each other? It's really
They know each other.
at this point, people know each other. So that's nice.
And it's repeat. The people that
And
go
if
on
you
the trip,
started
like,
to structure it more, like now that you see what works and what doesn't, or it's still a little bit, do you wing it and just like go to a place and things happen, or it's very structured and organized?
What is wing it? I don't know what
Wing
that
it,
means.
wing it.
No, I'm joking
Oh.
because I'm so organized. Because I am crazy and should have been a Virgo.
Yeah.
No. It's structured, but there's really very little work built in. So at the one that was 75 people, we had sponsors, small one, JP Morgan, like these are big sponsors, JP Morgan and this big law firm. And we built them into the programming by saying like, the law firm can tell anonymous ghost stories of shit that's gone wrong around the fire. So things like that. But it is recreation only.
A good thing for this year, which I've done, is with ChatGPT.
Yes.
I don't know if you've tried this out. You could say roast me.
Oh.
So I believe it's pulling everything one's ever input,
Oh dear.
and it gets, it knows what you're comfortable saying, exploring. It's a funny exercise to
That's actually a
do
really good idea.
amongst the people and be
Totally.
like, they could roast themselves.
And
And it's a laughable, if you know the people, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I agree.
If they could laugh at themselves, which I'm sure they could use as founders that are, what are some of the like common just issues that you see founders, it could be from the founders weekend or just in general, that you feel like they're dealing with that may not be talked about so much?
I think one is just you can't turn it off. Like it's awful. It feels like an affliction. You're like, I can't turn this off. I can't think about anything else. This feels like a disease. And that's one is like, how do you break out of that? How do you figure out who you are? Another one is team. Like, how do you build a team and what are the expectations in this changing sort of work world? That's one, which we have had many conversations about. Yeah. And I think another one is managing expectation of growth. And like you signed up, you raised all this money. What happens now? Again, we're like in a different world than we were 5 years ago in terms of venture.
And would you say most groups that have raised venture money that have some type of future plan to maybe exit, forced or chosen, do you feel like that's the pathway, like you're solving for that endpoint to do everything you can because one day you're going to exit and mentally then you'll be able to turn it off? Is that the mindset?
I think some people do that and they're very much engineering the company to do that, while others, like I would say Maude is so mission led, but it's also again in a category that hasn't fully really evolved. And so you kind of are at this point. In the past 1 to 2 years, the word profitability has come up a lot more for everybody. I think like building a real business, you kind of say to investors, it would be better if I didn't lose your money. I'm not going to maybe return it tomorrow, but it's a very different tone.
And to operate a business more efficiently as a CEO, like what right now, 2025, what comes to mind as what you could do to run your business?
Well, it's funny because you bring up these like marketing moments.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we look back at all the damn things we've done and said yes to. And I'm like, what actually moved the needle?
So saying no more often.
Saying no, but that's like life. Same no.
And what about like with technology, not just from a spend advertising e-commerce, but just like how you run a business and how tech, in essence, should enable you to do more with less?
Yeah.
Do you see that happening?
I do. I mean, ChatGPT is one.
Yeah.
I kind of tell the team, I'm like, I'm not asking you to write a dissertation. Like, just put it in ChatGPT.
Right.
We use a lot of platforms. Like, my team's going to be like, why do you keep saying this? Do you get paid behind the scenes, which is Airtable.
Yeah.
And then we use Slate, which is essentially Airtable and Slate could be Notion. We're not moving. But we use systems and try to keep it at least pretty
And are you
consistent.
using systems where you're customizing it for your business, or you're using out of the box and just someone on
No,
your
there's
team's
customization. Yeah.
Yeah, you're customizing it.
Mhm.
Okay. And the customization, you're leading the charge on that, or you have someone on your team that's maybe more technical and collectively you're coming up with the
Well, it's interesting. So we just started working with a fractional VP of Ops, and he's like has a very technical lead on his team, and like they're taking Airtable to places. It's just funny as a platform. I'm like, so I talk about it all the time, but we do 5% of what it can do, and so he's turned it into this kind of. It's honestly replaced so much time for a lot of the team.
And then your team could spend time together, brainstorm, like do things that
we're all
only
just laying
humans
around
could do.
eating popcorn. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Walking the
Twice
halls.
a day when they bring us tea and
Fire
popcorn.
marshaling the
Oh my God.
building.
You gotta be civic minded.
Yeah, and the team, I know you're proud of this. Many of them are in the office, right?
3 days a week.
Okay.
Some, when they want to be more, I'm here 5. You don't know this. I actually live here.
You
No,
move
I'm just
here?
kidding.
But when you're building a team, right? Hiring is so important.
Yeah.
And I haven't met all of your team. I see them around. Everyone's working hard. I respect the hustle. What do you look for in, like, if you have a role out there, 2025? What do you feel like makes what's a great hire this year? What type of personality, skill sets that a company like yours is looking for?
We're not going to hire this year. I'm actually now in like the lean team, which has been great. We have a lot of fractional people and help and senior leadership, which is great. But what I will say is just never fail to be true is first, like someone tells you who they are pretty immediately. And I have like failed at that dozens of times. And I look back on those hires and I'm like, I knew that was going to be what I ended up with. So from a cultural fit, I'm looking for people who are hungry, who want to learn, they don't ask, not to sound like Kennedy, but they're like, they don't ask, what can you do for me? They're like, what can I do here? And it's not personal. It's not what can you do for the founder. It's like, no, what can you do to like push this forward? I look for that. Just a lot of drive. Yeah. And my whole thing, which you and I have talked about, this is an amazing building. I'm so excited to be able to come here. But I also am like, you worked your butt off to get to New York and you're telling me you want to like work at home in your pajamas? Like, you need to have your moment. Mm-hmm. You need to have your like big city moment. And that's why I want people to kind of like get up and get out.
And because we were in the office and that we ran into each other.
Totally.
And I had to feel comfortable like figuring out a way to connect with you and say, are you such and such? And you're like, okay, yes, nice to meet you. But yeah, it's not easy. And do you feel like when you hire people, and this is more of a general comment for a startup or a CPG company, do you feel like it's better to hire people that are from the industry or from a startup? Like, how important is it that they have other startup experience? If you had to pick one of the two, would you rather have someone that has startup experience or someone that has industry experience?
I think startup.
Okay.
It's like just being resourceful, asking a lot of, really managing the hell up, like just being mini bosses. Like you just want people who are like hungry. And I kind of liken it to, if you were in a kitchen, you can't look over at someone and be like, are you cutting that? Hand me the knife. Like you just got to go. Or you're performing surgery. You don't have time for this. So that's how I feel, is like, if we can all be on the same wavelength and just keep it moving, and there's no, like, it just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, and it's not easy to find them, and the real superstars that know it may be the next Eva and running their own company, right?
No, but like, did you hear this crazy statistic that's floating around that like millennials think making $250 is like a great salary and Gen Z thinks it's $650?
Good, but at least they're ambitious.
But I think there's if I could give any advice, it would be like, be patient with yourself, like really just learn, soak it up. I always say, and I did not invent this phrase, but it's like, you earn or you learn, or hopefully both. If you get nothing, neither, then don't be there. But like, just like, dude, you're going to be fine. Go have a life.
Right.
Come
Right.
out, go for after work drink, whatever.
Yeah, you got to play the long game. A quote that I use a lot, and I'll say it hopefully once only on this podcast, so this will be the episode. I was taught by a professor, and I do not remember many things professors told me in class, was that your 20s are about learning,
Yeah.
your 30s are about positioning, and then your 40s plus are like the benefit of 20 plus years of learning and positioning,
Yeah.
which is like your network comes to life, you have more knowledge, you are able to put the right pieces together. I'm living that, and it wasn't intentional. It's not like I had this up in my wall. I'm like, okay, I'm happy to, slow play it a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm able personally to do what I do because I put in that work over 20 years and did things a certain way, and networked and just learned, and I still am learning every day. It's not like I got to the pinnacle of knowledge,
Now we're going
and
backwards. No.
but yeah, and I think when you get the new generation coming into a company, as much as you want them to be resourceful, you as the leader and me in my role hiring people, is like you have to also be a good coach and mentor. Like,
Yeah, but I think there's just like really fine balance, and I see it happen often, which is I'm like, I get this gusto for advocating for yourself. That makes sense. Like, we should do away with the poor behavior of years past, although we are seriously in an era of bad behavior right now,
yeah,
not in the workplace, in the greater world. But I'm like, but there's a difference between advocating and participating versus advocating and saying, like, tell me how you can help me. Like, I'm not your mom.
someone asked me a question and I wrote back FIO, all caps, and I don't play like acronym, you know, games with people. And obviously, response was question mark, and I said figure it out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to insult anyone, but like if you're asking me that, figure it out. And with all the tools that are out there, like AI included, you're able to figure things out
Yeah.
in a voice note, a textual thing that you're putting in. And I think that's what the new generation, and they're hesitant, with all these resumes. I think we were talking about this, the resumes that I've been receiving, nobody is listing AI technology as a skill.
Oh.
Even just saying something with ChatGPT, not one resume that I received
Whoa.
and
Even though it was probably written by ChatGPT.
that they're nervous that if they write that somehow they're admitting that they're using technology to generate the resume. If the resume is accurate, I don't care how they wrote it, they're choosing to present it
Totally.
that way.
And arguably, like, the phone has evolved. I don't need you to, like, dial it like that anymore. Just, like,
Right.
move on. I think shortcuts are great. Technology is important.
And you still have to own what you put out, right? The worst thing is if you use tech with no
Yeah.
human intervention and and it doesn't make sense, it's a bad look for you. And, hopefully you don't make that mistake too many times. What do you feel like's next for Maude? What's like the next big milestone for you?
I think it's digging into, like, growth areas that we didn't pay attention to before. I see this a lot where, and I've had this conversation a lot in the past few months, you go from, it's like this path. You're like, all right, you raise money, you're D2C, you find a retailer, you go into that retailer, and then somebody thinks you're going to, like, have an exit. It hasn't actually panned out that way for most brands. So Maude's like taking a step back, and we're like, where in retail are we really hitting? Where does it work? What makes sense, and where do people think they might find this product? And that's like this year. Our e-com is good, our metrics are good. Like, let's just start to explore more retail that's like less obvious.
And do you feel that it would function more as a standalone pop-up, or it's always integrated either into a...
I have dreams of having a store so that we can tell the story right, but I've seen it done. And the reality is, I mean, I made this comment. So we were in Contact Sports, which I don't know if you went in there, but it was like a great store, beautiful. It was a sexual wellness store, but it was like built like an incredible locker room meets like whiskey room. I don't know. It was great. Who goes in there on a Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some version of retail that's maybe a bit different.
Yeah.
And I was telling you about this. I'm like, what if it was a
Like
newsstand that's only
cannabis
open at night?
as like
Yeah.
a cross promotional space feels the stigma of historically walking
Yes.
into a cannabis store
Totally.
for my personality is not like, are you going to run into someone?
Yeah.
If you're going in the middle of the city, big deal. But if you're like in the neighborhood, there's still, it's not as mainstream as walking into a liquor store, let alone the space that you're in.
I
So,
mean, arguably, there's still not so many brands in our space enough to even curate like a store I would want.
mhm.
So I would want standalone, but I can't drive that kind of traffic right now. I just thought we should have a hotel.
You want a hotel now.
Yeah, maybe we should just do a hotel.
And what would the hotel, what else would be
I
going
mean,
on?
the reality
It
is
could be your
people like
founder's weekend.
escapism and hotels and sex go hand in hand because people are not stressed.
Right.
I don't know if I was saying this to you. I talked to
I
too
feel
many
like
people.
Virgin's like a logical partner.
So
No?
they did this on they had intimacy kits on their cruises and they just got so much bad press
Oh,
for it,
really?
which it was like, this is what people do.
I feel like W was the first hotel brand
Yeah.
that featured things in their room that was like a little bit where you're like, oh, that's interesting that they have that here.
Because the truth is, like, hotels actually do carry intimacy kits and they're not branded. And you're like, I'm not using these products. Where did they come from? So there's a lot of swap outs that could happen with like our brands in some of these places. But I think of it more as a hotel represents escapism. And escapism, not in a I hate my life way, but in a like a moment of pause. I'm not stressed. There's no kids, whatever. And we always say our enemy is not the big guys in our category, it's time and stress.
And do you feel like since you've started this
TikTok.
business, people are more stressed?
I
Is your hunch?
mean, what happened in November? Like,
Yeah.
this is a mess.
Yeah.
Different podcast.
Yeah. So, all right. So we have, I think it's we probably will have a part 2 of this. Call this the rocket round.
Let's go.
I have to say it from the get-go, you're allowed to pass if you want to come back, if you just don't want to answer.
Okay.
No hard feelings. What's a brand you think is killing it right now?
I think I'm going to pass.
Okay, starting with the pass.
Yeah.
What's one skill every founder should master?
Resilience.
What's one thing you do every morning to set the tone for your day?
I wake up and I look at my dogs and I'm like, all right, man, you've got a great attitude. This is how the world should be.
And where do the dogs sleep?
At the end of the bed.
In lieu of sleeping in the building, what's one thing you do at the end of the day that either allows you to decompress, or what's an end of day ritual?
So actually, not totally end of day, but has to do with this building and home, which is I take the ferry here. And I really like it. It's great. I get on the ferry and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
kind of get to see the skyline.
We actually, this is not choreographed. On a previous interview,
Someone said this.
somebody talked about their ferry experience.
Yeah.
I acknowledge I've never taken a ferry, so maybe we'll have a ferry trip together.
2.0.
But she had a phrase, and we're re-announcing it here. Hold the ferry.
Yes.
Because she said the customer service is exceptional
It is.
and comparative to other modes of transportation.
Also, did you know that they were
And they're willing to hold the ferry for her.
they're willing to hold
yeah.
the ferry, and they are all named by like New York City school children. So yesterday I rode on the Tooth Ferry.
That's cute.
Yeah, like they're really funny names. It's
You
very
take
cute.
it home, or you
I
take it.
I take it here
both.
and home.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
The ferry is happening, everyone. Who knew?
Honestly, it's like that moment every day. You know, we all feel this.
Yeah.
I'm not the only person, but you like look at the skyline of New York and you're like, oh man, okay, I like you again. And I feel that every day.
What's a non-work related obsession you've picked up recently?
I was telling you about this. Ian and I bought a sailboat in Long Island. I never thought I would say those words. I'm very pro Long Island now. That's not true because I don't know most of Long Island, but it's a 1978 sailboat in Oyster Bay, and
And you take
I
it
love
out,
her.
and you use that year round, or just in?
6 months out of the year,
Okay,
pretty much every weekend.
that's nice.
It's the
And do you
hometown
guys
of
always
Billy
go,
Joel.
the two of you, or you're able to?
Oh, we take a
steer it solo? Yeah.
rotating cast, and
You
it's-
always go as two people, or it's okay to go as one person on that
Oh, Ian will
sailboat?
go. He goes
Go solo.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't take the boat out. I would
Noted.
crash it into something.
Noted. You won't be considered for the ferry captain. If you could collaborate with any brand or person, who would it be?
Listen, I'm not going to top. Again, it's the Design Museum at the Louvre, but I'm not going to top that one. I
you
think
go.
that's pretty good.
What's a city that inspires you creatively?
I think New York.
What's your favorite part of running Maude?
You like realizing that life matters in it, like every day a little bit. There's people ask me like, "Don't you just want to cash out?" And I'm like, "No, the people I know that have cashed out are so bored and unhappy." So, I like having purpose.
If you had to build a company in a totally different industry, what would it be?
You're never going to have guesses, but pet care.
Boats, boat
Boats, boat
manufacturing.
care.
What's a piece of advice you got early in your career that still sticks with you?
It's not about you.
Okay, two more. What's the best spontaneous decision you've ever made?
Probably marrying Ian.
That was a quick
I mean, that
decision.
was on GChat. We were 27 and 24, and then we got married a month later.
You proposed. You met through GChat, or you
No, we met at
proposed?
a party. He moved
Okay.
in a month later, and we got married a year later.
That's spontaneous. I respect it.
But the time from deciding to get married to marriage was 1 month. Now it's been 17 years we've been together.
A good number. 17 is my lucky number.
And he sits in the office next to mine in this building.
What's it like? Last question. What's it like to work next door to your husband?
We are really good co-workers in the real sense. We are not good at working together, but we're good at sitting next to each other and working.
And do you respect each other differently, seeing how you work during the day, or you've seen it for so long that it...
I've seen it for so long. He works so hard, and we have the same kind of energy. It's just like nonstop.
All right, that will be a wrap. It's been a great conversation.
You're good at questions.
A lot of takeaways. I try to listen, even though some people accuse me of interrupting them, which I tried my best not to. I appreciate you sharing your journey with us.
Thanks for having me.
Stay connected for more conversations that celebrate creativity, innovation, and category-defining founders. Until next time.